Welcome to this deep dive. We know you, our listener, want to get straight to the heart of things, quickly but deeply, and really appreciate those aha moments.
Hmm.
Today, we're tackling something really central to all our lives: relationships, specifically how understanding ourselves might just be the key to making them better.
Right, without necessarily trying to change our partners.
Exactly. It's kind of a fascinating angle.
It is. The core idea we're exploring today really emphasizes how our own internal world, our thoughts, feelings, history,
hmm
how that shapes what we experience with others.
So our mission today is really to pull out those key insights, those nuggets that can help maybe see relationships in a bit of a new light.
Yeah, and we'll look at this concept that our partners can sometimes act like mirrors,
Mirrors. How so?
reflecting back parts of ourselves that maybe we haven't seen clearly or haven't quite understood yet.
Okay, interesting. And you mentioned projection too.
Yes, projection. That's when we often totally unconsciously put our own feelings, our own baggage onto someone else.
And seeing that pattern can be a game changer.
It really can. Transformative, even.
Okay, let's dive in then. We've all been there, right? Your partner does something seemingly small, maybe sighs about the dishes or seems a bit distant,
Uh-huh.
and bam, it hits you way harder than it feels like it should. Why does that happen? Why do those small moments sometimes feel so huge?
Well, that's the core question, isn't it? Is the sting really coming just from what they did? Or is it possible that their action, that sigh, maybe just tapped into something already inside you?
Like an echo.
Exactly, an echo of something deeper you're carrying. The relationship acts like a mirror in that moment, reflecting something unseen.
Right. And crucially, this isn't about pointing fingers, is it? It's not blame.
Not at all. It's shifting towards self-awareness. So when that trigger happens, the invitation is to pause.
And ask.
Ask yourself, okay, wait, what just got touched here? What part of me is reacting so strongly right now?
So the reaction is less about them.
Often, yes.
Yeah.
It's more about a part of you that maybe needs some attention.
And what if you notice the same kinds of frustrations cropping up again and again? Like the same arguments, the same hurt feelings?
Well, those recurring patterns are often really valuable clues. They can point to these long-held personal scripts.
Like what kind of scripts?
Oh, things like a deep fear of rejection, maybe, or a powerful need for validation, or perhaps struggles with knowing where your boundaries are and holding them.
It's like our relationships become this illuminated stage for our own inner stuff.
That's a great way to put it, yeah.
Can you maybe think of an example, like a specific instance where a partner's action triggered a strong reaction?
Okay, let's say you're sharing something really important to you, something you're excited about, and your partner seems, well, maybe just mildly interested or even dismissive.
Ouch. Yeah, that would sting.
Right. The immediate feeling might be, they don't care or I'm not important. But then notice what happens physically.
Physically?
Yeah. Do you feel a tightness in your stomach? Maybe your throat closes up a bit, a knot somewhere?
Oh, definitely. That stomach knot is familiar.
Those physical sensations, they're often signals, clues pointing towards something deeper that's been activated beneath the surface reaction.
So where do these really intense reactions actually come from? It sounds like our past plays a pretty big role.
A huge role, often unconsciously. Our past wounds, our history, they shape our present dynamics without us even realizing it sometimes.
Can you give an example of that?
Sure. So maybe you grew up in a really critical environment, lots of judgment.
Okay.
Then, as an adult, even mild constructive feedback from your partner might feel like a massive attack because it taps right into that old sensitivity.
Wow, yeah. Or maybe if someone experienced neglect.
Exactly. If past experiences involve neglect or abandonment, a partner needing some space, maybe just some quiet time alone, could be misinterpreted as they're leaving me, even if that's not their intention at all.
So it's like we're wearing glasses tinted by our past.
In a way, yes. And the key is realizing we have the glasses on.
So in those moments when we feel that big reaction flaring up, what's the first step? What can we actually do?
The most crucial first step is just bringing awareness to it. Conscious awareness. Instead of just firing back or shutting down, pause. Create even just a tiny bit of space. And ask yourself gently, what am I really feeling right now? Anger, hurt, fear, and where might this feeling be coming from?
It's that shift from autopilot reaction to presence.
Exactly. That shift is everything.
Let's circle back to that example, the partner sighing about the dishes. It might not just be about the dishes, right?
Probably not if the reaction is huge.
Yeah.
That sigh might have landed on what you called fertile ground.
Fertile ground.
Yeah, within you. Maybe it triggered a connection to, say, past experiences with parents who had high expectations or feelings of never being good enough, never measuring up.
Okay, so the sigh becomes symbolic of something much bigger?
Potentially, yes.
Yeah.
And awareness of that connection is where the power lies.
It really does take courage, though. It feels so much easier sometimes to just blame the other person, to focus outward.
It absolutely requires courage. It's uncomfortable to turn the spotlight inward and consider, could my discomfort be reflecting something in me?
But you're saying that realization is actually empowering.
Yes, because it shifts you. You move from feeling like a victim of your partner's behavior
Right.
to being an active participant in understanding the dynamic.
Yeah.
You regain a sense of agency.
That shift from victim to participant feels huge. So a key takeaway from this whole mirror idea.
I think a core insight is that every relationship is co-created. We're both contributing. And conflicts, they aren't just failures or roadblocks, invitations. Invitations for deeper understanding, for healing, both within yourself and within the relationship.
Okay, so as we wrap this part up, maybe a point for reflection for our listeners.
Yeah, maybe think about a recent interaction, perhaps with a partner or someone close, that left you feeling unsettled or maybe more reactive than usual. What emotions came bubbling up? Did any specific memories or old feelings surface alongside them? And just gently ponder, what might this situation be trying to show you about yourself?
And be patient with that process. Right?
Absolutely. Be gentle. Trust that clarity often unfolds gradually, not all at once. Stay present with whatever comes up.
Okay, so we've talked about partners as mirrors. Now, let's get into this idea of projection. It feels related, but different.
It is related, yeah. We've seen how others can reflect us, but projection is more about, well, actively putting our own stuff onto them.
So what exactly is projection? Can you break that down a bit?
Simply put, it's when we unconsciously take our own feelings, our thoughts, desires, maybe even traits we don't like in ourselves, and we attribute them to someone else. We see it in them, not in ourselves.
So it's like wearing glasses again, but this time the glasses are projecting an image outward.
That's a great analogy.
Yeah.
We see the world, and especially the people close to us, through this filter of our own unacknowledged inner experience.
So sometimes what I think I'm seeing in my partner, it might actually be more about me.
It very well could be. And that's a really crucial distinction to make, because these projections, they really distort how we perceive others.
And they block self-awareness too.
Absolutely. If I'm busy seeing my anger in you, I don't have to feel it or own it myself. It creates this barrier to seeing myself clearly. And that understandably leads to friction, misunderstandings.
Yeah, I can see that. So how do we start noticing when we might be doing this? When we're projecting?
Well, one big clue is often the intensity of your reaction. Think about a time you felt incredibly frustrated or deeply hurt by something your partner said or did.
Okay.
Did the reaction feel disproportionate, like way bigger than the actual event seemed to warrant?
Yeah, that feeling of, why am I so upset about this?
Exactly. That so upset feeling can be a flashing light, signaling that a projection might be involved. Your reaction is amplified by something internal.
Can you give a concrete example of how that might look?
Sure. Let's say your partner makes a comment about how you manage your time or approach your work.
Okay, potentially sensitive territory.
Right. And you immediately become incredibly defensive, maybe accuse them of being overly critical or controlling. Now, maybe they were a bit critical, but the sheer intensity of your defensiveness might actually be rooted in your own deep-seated insecurities about your competence, or perhaps echoes of past judgment from parents or teachers.
So you're projecting your insecurity onto their comment, making it feel like a massive attack.
Precisely. You're reacting not just to their words, but to the meaning your internal stuff is layering on top of it.
So those really strong, immediate assumptions we leap to about our partner's motives or feelings, those could be red flags.
Definitely red flags pointing back towards ourselves. Those intense emotional hits are like invitations.
Invitations to ask.
To ask, okay, hold on, what am I seeing here that might not be entirely theirs? What part of me is resonating so strongly with this? What nerve is being touched?
And how does avoiding uncomfortable feelings fit into this? You mentioned we project stuff we don't want to own.
Yes, avoidance is a huge driver of projection. Think about feelings we often find difficult: shame, fear, vulnerability, maybe even anger or certain desires.
Feels we'd rather not feel.
Exactly. When we push those feelings away, try to deny them or numb them out, they don't just vanish, they have energy. And often, that energy gets unconsciously redirected outward,
And be our partner.
onto our partners or others. It's like an unconscious attempt to get rid of the discomfort by locating it out there instead of in here.
So instead of feeling my own anxiety about an upcoming event, I might perceive my partner as being the anxious one, or even accuse them of being worried.
That's a classic example.
Right.
Or, if I'm feeling inadequate, I might become hypercritical of my partner's flaws. Focusing on their inadequacies helps me avoid my own.
It's a defense mechanism, really.
A very common, very human defense mechanism. But the good news is, awareness changes things.
How so? Becoming aware helps us take those feelings back.
Absolutely. The moment you recognize, I think I might be projecting my fear onto them right now, you have a choice. You can start to gently reclaim that feeling as your own.
And what does that do for the relationship?
It clears the air. It allows you to see your partner more accurately as they are without the distortion of your projection. And crucially, it deepens your own self-understanding.
It's like taking off those projecting glasses you mentioned.
Exactly. Suddenly, both your partner and yourself come into clearer focus.
So practically speaking, how can we get better at catching ourselves in the act? It sounds like it happens unconsciously.
It does often start unconsciously. One really powerful tool is tuning into your body. During a tense moment, pay close attention to physical sensations.
Like we talked about with triggers.
Yes. Notice the tightness in your chest, the clenched jaw, the heat rising in your face, the racing heart. These bodily signals are often early alerts.
Alerts that something deeper is getting stirred up.
Precisely. They can signal underlying emotions, fear, anger, shame, that might be fueling a projection, even before your conscious mind fully registers it. Your body often knows first.
Our bodies as warning systems.
Hmm?
Okay, now there's this idea about taking responsibility for our projections. It's not about blame, you said.
No, definitely not blame. Taking responsibility here isn't about self-criticism or saying it's all my fault. It's more about recognizing our own creative power in relationships.
Creative power.
Yes, acknowledging that we actively co-create the dynamic. It's about owning that the meaning we assign to our partner's words or actions often stems from our own internal filters, our own history, our own projections.
So it's owning my interpretation of their behavior.
Exactly. Owning your part in how the interaction unfolds.
There was a really helpful question suggested for those moments of strong reaction. Can you remind us?
Yes, it's a powerful reframe. The next time you feel that intense reaction towards your partner, try consciously shifting your internal question from thinking, why are they doing this to me? Or they're making me feel, to asking, what is this moment showing me about myself? And maybe follow that with, what part of me right now feels unseen, unheard, or unacknowledged?
Wow. That really flips the script, doesn't it? From accusation to curiosity.
A huge flip. It moves you out of reactivity and into a space of self-inquiry.
And this isn't about suddenly becoming perfect and never projecting again, right?
Oh, goodness, no. It's about progress, not perfection. Every single time you catch a projection, even if it's after the fact, that's a win. That's strengthening your muscle of self-awareness. And the more self-aware you become,
the more authentic the relationship can be.
Exactly. More authentic and often, surprisingly, more easeful, even amidst challenges.
This is all incredibly helpful for understanding their hidden dynamics.
Yeah.
So now the big question, how does all this awareness of mirroring, of projection, actually lead to positive change? How do we turn insight into better connection?
Right. This is where the rubber meets the road, so to speak. It's about seeing the transformative potential within the difficult.
Within the conflicts themselves.
Yes. What if we started seeing conflicts not just as problems, as obstacles to happiness, but as, well, as pathways?
Pathways to what?
Pathways to deeper self-discovery. Pathways to embracing parts of ourselves we've kept hidden, even from ourselves.
So instead of dreading conflict or trying to smooth everything over immediately,
we could get curious about it. What if those trigger moments, those points of friction, are actually clues? Clues pointing directly towards parts of us that are needing attention, maybe needing healing.
How does that work? How is a trigger a clue?
Well, think about it. A trigger moment is often a collision, isn't it? It's where something our partner does or says bumps right up against one of our own unmet needs, our unresolved emotions, our sore spots.
Okay, yeah, that collision.
That collision generates energy. Sometimes uncomfortable energy, sure, but it's energy nonetheless. And that energy, if we can learn to hold it with awareness, can fuel new insights.
So the partner isn't just the source of pain in that moment.
They might feel like it, But what if we reframe them as a messenger?
A messenger.
Yeah. Maybe bringing necessary news, even if it's uncomfortable news, about our own inner landscape. The key is learning to listen to the message the trigger carries about us, rather than just reacting against the messenger.
Listen to the message, not shoot the messenger.
Exactly. When we can do that, even a little bit, that's when profound change can start to happen. The patterns playing out in the relationship start to reveal the inner world that's seeking acknowledgement.
That makes a lot of sense. But it sounds like it takes real patience. And being okay with discomfort.
It absolutely does. It's not a quick fix. It takes time, it takes patience with yourself, and definitely a willingness to sit with uncomfortable feelings as they arise.
To not run away from them.
Right. To tolerate the vulnerability that comes with facing our shadows.
Shadows. What do you mean by shadows here?
Shadows in this sense are just the parts of ourselves we've disowned or pushed away, maybe parts we feel ashamed of or parts that didn't feel acceptable growing up. They aren't inherently bad or evil.
They're just unseen parts.
Unseen, unacknowledged, fragmented parts of our wholeness. And the triggers in relationships often bring us face to face with them. The work is about integration, bringing them back into the fold.
There's an image, like a lantern in a dark room. How does that relate?
Think of your awareness as that lantern. The relationship challenges, the triggers, the projections, they can feel like scary things lurking in the dark corners of the room. But when you shine the lantern of your awareness directly on them, you start to see them more clearly. You realize, oh, that scary shape wasn't a monster. It was just a projection of my own fear. Or that shadow is actually reflecting an old wound I carry.
So the shadows aren't the enemy.
Not at all. They're not signs of failure in the relationship. They're invitations. Invitations to explore where your own light meets your own darkness, and in doing so, reclaim those forgotten parts of yourself.
And that reclaiming leads to more authenticity.
Exactly. That's the goal, really. Authenticity.
What does authenticity actually look like in practice, in a relationship?
Well, it's not about being perfect. It's about being real. It's about being able to show up more and more as you truly are, without feeling the constant need to defend yourself, explain yourself away, or put up a front.
Being honest, even when it's hard.
Yes. Honest with yourself first, and then with your partner.
So if we bring more of that authenticity, that grounded presence you mentioned, how might we handle conflict differently?
Imagine getting triggered, and instead of immediately lashing out or withdrawing,
Yeah.
you pause, you take a breath, you connect with yourself and ask, okay, what's happening in me right now? What am I feeling? What part of me needs to be seen or heard?
So you respond from that place instead of reacting.
Ideally, yes. Or at least you aim for that more often. You might even reach a point where, maybe not in the heat of the moment, but later, you can genuinely say to your partner, you know, when you said that, it really landed hard and it helped me see this old fear I carry. Thank you for mirroring that for me.
Wow, that sounds like a very different kind of conversation.
It is. And again, it doesn't mean disagreements vanish. Conflict is natural, even healthy, when handled with awareness.
So what changes isn't the absence of conflict, but the engagement with it.
Exactly. Conflict shifts from being this destructive force to potentially being a catalyst for deeper intimacy, for real understanding. The most meaningful conversations often emerge from those tough moments where you both have to dig deep and speak your truth.
It sounds like it really requires courage, though. Facing the projections, the vulnerabilities, taking responsibility.
It absolutely takes courage, no question. But there's a beautiful paradox at play here.
Which is?
The more we're willing to embrace our own imperfections, our own shadows, and be vulnerable, the more space we create to be truly seen and often truly loved for exactly who we are, warts and all.
It's powerful. So as we kind of bring this deep dive towards a close, what's the main thing to hold on to?
I think it's remembering that relationships are alive. They're dynamic, constantly evolving systems, just like we are. Every interaction, every conflict, every moment of connection contributes to that evolution.
And maybe not aiming for perfect resolution all the time.
Exactly. Full resolution might not always happen or look the way we expect, but every step towards greater self-awareness, towards understanding our own patterns, that brings us into deeper alignment.
Alignment with ourselves.
With ourselves, yes. And often, consequently, with our partner and with life itself. It's an ongoing process.
And there was that guiding question we can carry forward.
Yes, that question to keep in your back pocket. What does this moment reveal about me? And what can I learn from it?
Using that almost like a practice.
As a practice, a way to orient yourself. Trusting that challenges hold lessons. Trusting that triggers point towards wounds ready for healing, trusting that relationships offer this incredible, sometimes challenging, but ultimately beautiful mirror to our own souls.
That's a really profound way to view it. It's not an end point, but a beginning.
Absolutely. At the beginning of ongoing discovery, unpacking, integrating, the key is to stay curious, stay open, stay present with what is.
Because the real shifts happen there.
Often in those quiet, consistent moments of turning towards ourselves with kindness. That's where the deep transformation happens, leading to richer connections, both with ourselves and with others.
Well, thank you so much for exploring all of this with us today. We really hope these insights about mirroring, projection, and self-awareness offer a valuable new perspective.
Yes, thank you. And we really encourage everyone listening to continue exploring these ideas. Don't just take our word for it. See how they resonate in your own life, in your own relationships.
Maybe notice your reactions, your patterns, but with curiosity. Right, not judgment.
Exactly. Gentle curiosity is key. Remember, understanding yourself is absolutely a lifelong journey.
And our relationships can be such powerful companions, even catalysts on that path.
They really can. We'd genuinely love to hear if anything we discussed sparked an aha moment for you. Feel free to reach out via our website, or social media details are in the description.
Yeah, what stood out? What questions are maybe still lingering for you? Let us know.
We hope this deep dive has given you some useful shortcuts to feeling well-informed on this topic, and maybe sparked some surprising insights along the way.
Join us next time for another in-depth exploration, tailored just for you, the learner.